Hey guys, this is Zylock with Media Hindsight, and today I just wanted to bring you another build that I've been working on in Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls. And I've really been enjoying the Crusader recently, and I wanted to bring you what I'd like to call my Summoning of the Heavens build. And let's take a look. It's pretty neat. So first off, let's take a look at the skills. My main attack is Blessed Hammer with Limitless. I'm going for mostly holy damage in this build, and this is the best option. What Blessed Hammer does is it sends a hammer around your character like this, and it revolves around, and it does a lot of great AoE damage. And what Limitless does is when the hammer hits an enemy, there's a 50% chance that that hammer is going to spawn another hammer. But it only does that once per hammer, so you're not going to have a whole bunch, like 20-30 hammers going on at one time. That would be a little OP, but this is a great primary skill. I know it costs 10 Wrath, and we do not have a basic ability to generate Wrath, but we don't really need it, and you'll see why in a little bit. My next skill, Laws of Justice. I'm using this one simply because my resistances at the moment are pretty low, and that extra 140% it gives you is really nice. But the active is also really good too. It bumps that increase to resistance to 490 for 5 seconds, which is great against an elite pack. And it also helps out your teammates, which is great. Plus, it also gives you and your allies a shield for 3 seconds that will absorb 20,632 damage, which is a nice little bonus. It's a good, nice ability to have. If my resistances were a little bit higher, I think I'd definitely go with Laws of Valor to increase my attack speed considerably. But for now, I'm going to stick with Laws of Justice. Next, in the utility section, I like to use Phalanx with Bowman. It does some really good damage, and with the pretty low cooldown on it, which is 15 seconds, I can summon them pretty often, probably about every 9 to 10 seconds. I got quite a bit of cooldown reduction, and they do really nice damage and great ranged attack, so you don't have to continually be, chasing down that one random enemy that's really annoying and really fast. So they'll do that for you, which is great. Next is Heaven's Fury with Ascendancy. This is going to be a great AoE attack for your character. 2,760% weapon damage as holy over 6 seconds to enemies, which is amazing. And it'll shoot out one pillar, which will do that damage in an AoE fashion. It's fantastic. The cooldown is 20 seconds, but like I said, I'm summoning it about every, 12, 13 seconds. It's pretty nice. Next, Akarat's Champion. Most people are using this on a Crusader. It gives you a really nice buff to damage, 35%, and increases your Wrath generation by 5 for 20 seconds, which is huge. That way you can spam more Blessed Hammers, and you'll pretty much never run out, which is great. Right now I'm using Firestarter. Dealing damage burns enemies with the power of Akarat, dealing 460% weapon damage as fire over 3 seconds, which is a great boost to your damage. Sometimes, though, depending upon if I'm going into a higher torment, like 5 or 6, which I can do, but the damage is just kind of low, so it takes a while, I'll throw on Prophet, which will give you 150% additional armor while Akarat's Champion is active, which is crazy, and it takes your toughness up a very, very large amount. I'll actually show you what I mean here. You see that my toughness is almost 10 mil, but if I activate Akarat's Champion, it goes up to almost 2.1 mil, or 21 million toughness, which is ridiculous. Really, really useful. I definitely suggest either that or Firestarter. And then the next skill is Falling Sword, Rise Brothers. This is a great skill to get around and to do a nice AoE effect on enemies that you see in a distance. It does 1,700% weapon damage to everything within 14 yards. And with Rise Brothers, you land and 3 avatars are summoned for 5 seconds, and they each do 280% of your weapon damage. I'm using this mostly as a thematic kind of ability because I like the summoning options that it gives you, thus the summoning of the heavens build. You can also go with the Holy Rune, which is, I believe, Flurry. Does 230% weapon damage, is wholly hurling enemies around and incapacitating them for 5 seconds. So it does a nice little consistent AoE effect after the 1700% damage that you do after the falling swords. That one's nice too, but I like Rise Brothers because they'll actually chase the enemy down for 5 seconds, and they do a considerable amount of damage. In our passives, we're using Finery. You get 1.5% strength for every gem socketed into your gear. At the moment, I believe I'm using 7 gems, so that's a pretty considerable increase to your damage. That's a good. You're looking, depending upon how many gems you have, 8 to 12% damage increase, which is really nice for a passive. Heavenly Strength, you can wield a 2-handed weapon in your main hand while bearing a shield in your offhand. This is a pretty interesting game changer. You can definitely change your build here to different things. Right now I'm using a 2-handed flail, which is why I'm using Heavenly Strength. But if you're using a 1-handed weapon, which we're not for this build, you definitely want to use Fervor because it takes your attack speed up by 15% and reduces your cooldowns by 15%. Both of these options are really good depending upon if you're using 1- or 2-handed weapons, but Heavenly Strength definitely needs to be used here because I'm using a 2-handed flail. The next one, Vigilant, increases life regeneration by 2,063 and reduces all non-physical damage taken by 20%. I'm using this because between T4 and T6, I notice I am taking a lot of elemental damage because my resistances are not as high as I'd like them to be, and this has really helped me out a lot. What I was using before was Blunt to increase my Blessed Hammer damage by 20%, but I just found that I was dying too quickly against elites and even some trash mobs if they're using any type of elemental damage. So that was definitely a huge help by picking Vigilant. But if you didn't need it, I would definitely go with Blunt, or Indestructible's not bad, but that's definitely up to you. You can definitely change out some of these. This is not set in stone, guys. And then my next one is Holy Cause. Nice 10% increase to damage. Whenever you heal holy damage, you also heal 1% of your total life. We will be doing a lot of holy damage, but that 1% healing, you really won't notice. We're really only using this for the 10% damage increase. So that's it for the skills. Let's go look at the items. First off, the Helm of Akan. I'm going for the 6-piece set bonus here. It's great. It's going to allow you to definitely spam Blessed Hammers and also just be doing a ton of damage. But you're definitely going to want to look for preferably Strength, Vitality, maybe Resistance there. That'd probably help me out on my survivability. Definitely want some critical hit chance, and definitely want to socket that with a Diamond to reduce the cooldown of your Akarat's Champion, because you want that up as much as possible. You can actually, if you have up to 54 to 55% cooldown reduction, you can actually have Akarat's Champion up permanently. The cooldown will expire before the skill does, so you can just keep popping it over and over again, and that is an amazing ability. Your damage will be through the roof, and you'll definitely have that constant wrath regeneration to help you spam your abilities. Next, with the Pauldrons of Akan, helping out that 6-set piece bonus, resistances, and definitely want to get that reduced cooldown. That's probably the most important part. The gloves, you're going to want to shoot for critical hit chance, critical hit damage, main stat, which is strength in this case, and cooldown of all skills by 8%. Definitely want cooldown over attack speed. I know a lot of people like that, the damage increase that gives you, but the cooldown is very important in this build. For the armor, I have not found the Akan's armor piece yet, so I'm using Blackthorn Circo because it's the best chest piece I have for my Crusader so far. I definitely want 3 sockets with perfect gems in there. Vitality and resistance is nice to boost my survivability. Amulet, I haven't found a legendary amulet that's really working with my build yet, but this one's not bad for the time being. Main stat, vitality, critical hit damage, and critical hit chance. It's not too bad. It's definitely helping my damage quite a bit. And then I got I'm definitely going to botch this Tragul's coils, something like that. Holy skill damage increase, 18%, fantastic. Strength, resistant to all elements, and critical hit chance. You definitely always want critical hit chance on your bracers if you can get it. Now, the legendary affix on these is kind of interesting, and it's definitely helpful, but it's kind of situational, really. Healing Wells replenish all resources and reduce all cooldowns by 53 seconds. So what you can do is if you find a Healing Well, you can pop your Akarat's Champion and then click on the Healing Well, and then the cooldown will be pretty much completely over, and you can you got free Akarat's Champion, really, and then when it expires, you can cast it again. It's kind of nice, definitely. But I'm definitely right now I'm using it for the holy skills. If I could find maybe strong arm bracers with holy skill increase, I might use that instead. First ring, Ring of Royal Grandeur. I'm definitely using strength, attack speed, critical hit damage, and critical hit chance. This is the best version of this ring that I've found on any of my characters. I would definitely prefer, if you can find it, switch attack speed for cooldown percentage. That would definitely help your Akarat's Champion be up more often, but the damage increase isn't too bad. Plus, you'll be able to throw out more Blessed Hammers, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But of course, as we all know, the most important part of this ring is we can use our Akan set with only 5 pieces, which is nice because I don't have the chest. For the shield, Hollowed Barricade. This is a nice shield because you can craft this item, and you can try to get the best one that you can. Right now, mine's not the best. I've had a really hard time getting a decent one. Holy skill increase can go up to 20% on this. I'm running really low there with 15. Strength, critical hit chance increase is nice, and I have 1 socket on there. It works kind of nice with finery, but I believe you can get cooldown reduction on your shield as well. I'm pretty sure, but that I'd prefer that on there if I could. But right now it's working for me pretty well. For the boots, you're using the Sabatons of Akan. Like I said, 6 set piece bonus. I definitely wanted resistance on there, but you really want strength, vitality, resistance, and if you can, one of your spender skills. Right now I'm using Blessed Hammer. You definitely want to try to increase that one. That's definitely a nice bonus, especially since we're not using the blunt passive to increase Blessed Hammer's damage by 20%. And then we have the Akan pants. Strength, vitality, armor. I definitely want to. That armor roll is pretty nice. I definitely like strength and vitality. We're a little bit higher, and it's unfortunate that pants can't get all resist on them. That would be nice. And then you definitely want 2 sockets. Don't have the maximum ranked gems on these, but they're doing the job. For the belt, I'm using Captain Crimson's Silk Girdle. I was running the Captain Crimson's set for the reduced cooldown on all skills by 10% for a while until I got my full 6-piece set. This is a really nice belt for survivability, though. I can't deny that. Strength, vitality, perfect resistance, 13% life. Still trying to find a belt to replace it, but for now, it's definitely doing a good job. My second ring, Bullcathos Wedding Ring. I just found this today, actually, and I got a nice roll on the cooldown there. I definitely like critical hit chance instead of life percentage, but this ring's not doing too bad. The drain life from your enemies, I really can't tell how effective that is, but if it's healing even decently at all, I guess it's doing okay. I have not been seeing myself die recently, but I doubt it's just because of that ring. I've definitely been changing around some of my skills to become a little bit more survivable. But this isn't bad until I find a Stone of Jordan. That would be best in slot here. You want that with holy damage, critical hit damage, obviously a high percentage against elites, and then obviously your main stat. And last but not least, one of the best two-handed flails you can find in the game, the Fate of the Fell. The great thing about this one is when you cast your Heaven's Fury, you get 2 additional rays, which is huge. So it's almost 3 times the damage, and it's going to cover a much wider area, and they seek out enemies. So you could almost consider it like an extra summon, if you would, but that definitely increases damage tremendously. But you definitely want to get high damage on that. The strength roll is not the best, but it's not too bad. And that increased wrath regeneration is really nice for Blessed Hammers when Akarat's Champion's not available. It's on cooldown. And then you definitely want to get 1 socket and put a Perfect Emerald in there for the critical hit damage. So that covers the gear itself. You can see my strength is almost 11,000. Big reason that is because of the finery passive and all of these gems that I have in my equipment. Toughness is almost 10 million, which is nice. You can see that my resistances are pretty low. Most of them are just barely over 1,000. So I definitely want to try to get those up to somewhere between 1,200 and 1,400 would be best. Other stats to look at here: critical hit chance, it's almost 50%, which is a great place to have it. Critical hit damage, 411, which is really good. Cooldown reduction, 38.31%. I definitely like it to be more towards 50%. The higher you go, the harder it is to stack it on, because it's not the percentage is not additive. So when you add, let's say your cooldown reduction is 8%, and then you add another item that adds 8%. It's not going to be 16%. It's going to be somewhere more in the ballpark of 14 to 15%. So the more you add on, the harder it is to get that percentage up. It sucks because you got to get a lot more cooldown on your equipment, but I think if you could get it, up to 60 or 70 or maybe even 80% without that built into the game, it might be a little overpowered. You're definitely going to want to look for a decent amount of holy damage increase. I got 33%. If you could get that up, towards 40 or 50%, that would be nice. And then Blessed Hammer damage, since that's our main attack, besides our cooldowns, 14%, it's definitely helping. It could be higher, though. So those are all the important stats. And let's go through some gameplay so I can show you kind of how this works. Let's go to Keep Depths level 2. Always a lot of monsters and quite a few elite packs down here, so it's a good place to show off some gameplay examples. So kind of what I do when I'm playing with this build is when I see, a bunch of mobs, I pretty much just throw out my cooldowns and let them do the job for me. You don't really need to manage any of your cooldowns except for Akarat's Champion, because it obviously has the longest cooldown. But even it only has about a 15-second cooldown, and I'll show you why it's so important. It's a huge benefit to your character. As you can see, I have a little over 1 million damage and almost 12 million toughness. But when I pop Akarat's Champion, you'll see almost 1.5 million damage and almost 25 million toughness. That's a huge increase to damage and toughness, and it's so important against elites. It'll help you out so much. You can see we just found a nice big mob of trash here, and just throw those cooldowns out, and you can see in the bar below, they're recharging really quickly. Let's see if we can't find an elite mob, though, to really show it off. I like to use falling swords whenever there's a big group of enemies or just one kind of tough enemy that I want to do a nice chunk of damage to right out of the gate. Helps a lot, and those avatars that it summons with Rise Brothers do a considerable amount of damage, so they're nothing to sneeze at for sure. Plus, it's just nice for getting around the map in case you ever want to skip a couple, skip a floor or something. You can kind of cheat the system a little bit and get some faster runs in, which never hurts. So we got an elite pack here. We're going to pop Akarat's Champion, Falling Sword. if you ever get in the middle of a situation like that where you got a lot of elemental damage going on, make sure that you pop your Laws of Justice. That's going to keep you alive because it's really going to get your resistances up and take your toughness up that much more. And you're going to need it because when you get up, because this is T4, if you get up to T5, T6, that's probably almost an insta-kill right there. And see, he went down there. That wasn't too bad. 15-20 seconds, I think. The issue was he had a lot of tricky affixes on him, so I didn't want to just jump in the middle of there and just start spamming damage on him. But Akaros Champion is definitely going to keep you alive in situations like that. And then the rest of your cooldowns, just use them as you need to. Like I said, they come back fast enough. But we're clearing mobs pretty quickly. And there's definitely some improvement that can definitely be made with gear. I'd like to get some vitality off my gear and get some extra cooldown and critical hit chance, critical hit damage on some other pieces of my gear. But it's definitely a fun build, guys. I would definitely play around with it. If you like playing the Crusader or you don't, you've been looking for a reason to play another class. Maybe you like the Witch Doctor a lot. The Crusader's definitely got a lot of skills that are very similar if you like doing a pet build or something like that. And that's definitely what made me start playing him originally. But definitely a lot of fun. I highly suggest him. And I'm looking forward to a lot of the changes that are going to be coming out in 2.1. They're adding a lot of new legendary items that will allow the Crusader to really bump up his summoning abilities, keep his avatars out longer, summon more, stuff like that. Should be a lot of fun. But that's going to be it for me, guys. I hope you liked the build. Let me know if you like it. Let me know if you guys have any suggestions on improvements. I'll be sharing some in the future. And as always, this is Zylock with Media Hindsight, signing out.